Hey, welcome back to the Jon Krawczynski Show. He's Jon Krawczynski. He's in Oklahoma City or thereabouts. I'm Jim Souhan back in Minneapolis. Jon, of course, basketball writer, Timberwolves beat writer for The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. This is our primary basketball show at TalkNorth.com. Jon's done a great job for us. It's been a fascinating season. And now we have problems to dissect. We're coming from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
That first sip of coffee. Is there anything better? Yup. Coffee made with amazing water from Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Enjoy worry-free water throughout your home for less than buying that daily cup of joe. Imagine spotless dishes, softer laundry, and drinking water you can trust. Plus, up to 25% off a new Connecticut system. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
We're also presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages, GIGLI.com. Use promo code GigglyNorth to get 50% off your first order. Thanks also to Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood. And thanks to all of our other sponsors that we'll get to later in the show. All right, Jon, start us off. You were just at availability. What was your primary takeaway?
Yeah, I think it's just a team that really kind of is trying to get into this series because they played fairly well in the first half of game one, and in the second half really got smacked by the Thunder 70-40. There's some frustrations with the whistle that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is getting, but I think that they also know that as frustrating as that may be, that there is, much more improvement that needs to happen from them, from a shooting aspect, from a offensive execution aspect, from defense, if they're going to sort of find their way to even the series and make this a long series. There's real tension about the whistle, but also a very kind of stone cold reality check that they just did not play well either, and that they're going to have to do a lot more to kind of show what they're really capable of in this series, because the second half of game one was not it.
And we have a lot to get to in that regard. This is the second straight series they've had more rest than the opponent. The other opponent had to win a game 7 to get in, only had 1 day of rest. And both times I expected the Wolves to be the superior and better rested, sharper team in game one, and neither time they were. Is there anything trending there, or is it just coincidence?
Yeah, no, I actually think, Jim, that the discussion about rest for a team, especially when you're facing a young team like Oklahoma City, I think it actually works against the Wolves, at least in game one. Maybe it changes as the series goes along, and those legs get a little wobblier for the Thunder because they played 7 in the second round and the Wolves only played 5. But when you look at both the game one against Golden State and then the game one against Oklahoma City, the Wolves just miss a ton of shots in those games, and they are not in an offensive rhythm, and they do not feel like they are in the playoff mode. Whereas both the Warriors and especially the Thunder last night come in with all of their gears well oiled. And I mean, they didn't shoot well in the first half. The Thunder did not, but other than that, their defensive intensity was there. They were completely locked in the whole way. And so I actually think that the Thunder benefited from not having a long layoff and being able to jump right into this after an intense series against Denver. And the Wolves were at a disadvantage. I said to people before game one that I thought game two was the more gettable game here. I did not feel good about game one because of that idea, and because the Wolves just seem like a team kind of dangerous, but this is what it is. Like, they need the taste of blood in their mouth first before they're like, okay, we're in this now. And that is a risky thing to have, especially when you're facing a great team like the Thunder. They could get away with it against Golden State. We'll see about OKC, but yeah, like overall, I just thought that the calendar worked in the Thunder's favor for game one versus the Wolves.
We didn't do a specific preview show for the series because we were wrapping up the last series. We didn't know who they were going to play next. I'll tell you what I was thinking going in this weekend. As of Sunday morning, I thought the Wolves would win this series in 7, and I felt good about it. by Sunday afternoon, I was still leaning like just a touch to the Wolves, but I didn't feel so good about it. I thought the way Oklahoma City played in Game 7 to advance, even given Aaron Gordon's injury and everything else, they looked like the team that was so good this regular season. What were your thoughts coming into the series?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, Jim, because I said Wolves in 7 as well. I just think I don't think home court advantage is that big of a deal in the NBA right now for whatever reason. And the Wolves generally, last night, kind of notwithstanding, play better on the road than they do at home. And so I was not really worried about them on the road in Game 7 being able to close out a series. I just thought that over the course of time in this series, I thought that the experience that they have from last year, Julius Randle as a great number 2 option for Ant. I thought that overall they were going to be able to make enough plays and get enough from their role players to beat the Thunder, and use their physicality and just kind of wear on them and win it. And I still think that's entirely possible. Now, certainly when you look at Game 1, especially the second half of Game 1, 70-40 for the Thunder, you have some reservations about that, but I really haven't come off of my belief yet. It's easy to look at the first game and say, well, this is a short series. This is, a bad matchup, all of those things. But I just watching this Wolves team this entire year, they have been a team that sort of eases into things. I know they had a great Game 1 against the Lakers, but I don't think the Lakers are very good. So I just think that it's a team that needs to get into the fight and then have a day like they have here on Wednesday and look at the film and digest it and adjust to what the Thunder are doing. And then they can come out strong after that. If the Thunder roll in Game 2, yeah, I will probably come off of my feeling that this is a Wolves in 7 type series. But I just think that I want to see how the Wolves respond in Game 2 on Thursday night, because I do think this team finds ways to adjust and to kind of figure things out as a series goes along.
Let's get into the details, and we will talk about turnovers, fouls, Shea, and three-point shooting, all those things. We want to let you know about Giggly. THC Beverages have become one of our biggest sponsors across the network. Every time we have a meeting at Talk North, we talk about how we all love it. We all drink it. My wife and I drink them frequently. You can't drink alcohol every night. I like a cocktail, but, on a weeknight, a night I need to get to bed early, when I want to sleep well, when I know I need to be up early, which is pretty much every day when you have dogs and a wife who works really hard, Giggly really fits my lifestyle. You can find it at all the Quick Trip stores in Minnesota. You can find it at pretty much all the places that sell liquor. Natural ingredients, tastes great, variety of flavors, teas, seltzers, cocktails. Highly recommend it. Giggly.com. Thanks also to Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood.
Yeah, let me pull up our message. So if you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than our good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or east side of the Twin Cities, they've got you covered with 2 great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to lexusofwayzata.com or lexusofmaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
Thanks to Mark Rosen, one of our newer stars at TalkNorth.com, for bringing Charlie on board. Great to be working with Lexus. All right, so let's start with the burr under the saddle. Let's talk about the fact that Shea is one of those players who seems to be able to create contact and get the benefit of the call, while Anthony Edwards does not seem to be that kind of player, at least yet. What are the Wolves saying, and what are you thinking about all of that?
Yeah, look, so right now what the Wolves are saying is they're pretty much taking the high road. Hey, we expect this kind of whistle from Shea. We've got to make adjustments. We've got to figure it out. Chris Finch, Jaden McDaniels, who fouled out in Game 1, Rudy Gobert, a bunch of the Wolves players and coaches have said, we expected this. We knew this was the way it was going to be. And so we've got to find a way. That is the right public messaging right now. I do think behind the scenes, privately, And then when you just look at the greater discourse coming off of game one, I do think that there is a bright light being put on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's tactics. He is an incredible player. He is ultra talented. When he gets to that mid-range 16-footer, it's ridiculous how good he is and how reliable that he is. He's the MVP of the league. He earned that this season. There is no question about it. That said, it is sometimes difficult to watch the way that he just falls to the floor over and over again and gets rewarded for it. He had 14 free throws last night. More importantly, Jim, he had 7 free throws in the first 4 minutes of the game. And that was when the Thunder were really sort of like struggling to get into the game. And I just think that did help them steady themselves early on. Is like, he goes to the basket, he falls to the floor, he gets a call. Anthony Edwards was so frustrated, he tossed the ball at Shai at one point, gets a technical foul for it. And I think that Nick Wright said it the best this morning, I think, Jim. This crystallizes what the Wolves' view of this situation is if you're going to give them truth serum. It's one thing for Shai to get these calls, to not get much contact, to have that whistle blow relentlessly and get him to the line. That's one entity of this. But when you juxtapose that against how physically the Oklahoma City defense plays, Lou Dort, Kaysen Wallace, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, they are very handsy. They are very physical. They bump you, they bang you, they push you, and they prod you. And that's what the Timberwolves usually do defensively as well. So, like, that's great stuff. Like, that's playoff intensity basketball. But they are allowed to do that on the defensive end. They had 19 turnovers. They forced 19 turnovers. 13 of those were steals. And a lot of it is the handsy getting in there, jarring the ball loose and going. So they're allowed to do that kind of thing. And it seems to be that they are operating under a different set of rules than the rules that are being applied to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And so I will say this, because there will be Thunder fans who watch this and say, you're a homer and you're just pulling for it. The Wolves did not lose because of the Shai whistle. They missed too many threes. They turned the ball over too often. They were not sound defensively in the second half. Like, they didn't lose the game because of the Shai whistle, but it is a stark contrast, the way that Shai gets called and officiated versus the way almost everyone else does, particularly when Oklahoma City is defending Anthony Edwards, is defending Julius Randle, defending Mike Conley, all of those guys. So that is something that was clear from game one. It probably won't change going forward, but that's just the state of the state right now. And there's, the Oklahoma City Thunder are a great team. That was a great win for them. But I do think a lot of the national discourse right now is on the gamesmanship from Shai and just on that dichotomy between his whistle and then the whistle that the Oklahoma City Thunder defense gets. So it's way too big of a gap. It's way too big.
And what's the root of this? Because we saw Cat, obviously get fouled, not get calls, get upset about it, and people focused on him being upset about it. But he didn't get calls. Now you see Anthony Edwards, completely different kind of player, younger, even higher national profile. He doesn't seem to get calls, and Shai does, and Luka does. Is it the way they play? Do they have a way of kind of brainwashing officials? What is the difference?
Yeah, it's a great question. I do think that, there's this sort of term that has come in vogue over the last maybe 2 or 3 years in the NBA, an ethical hooper and an unethical hooper. Ant is an ethical hooper in that he goes to the basket and he doesn't embellish, he doesn't flop, he doesn't fall, but he gets contact that isn't called. And it's a little similar, Jim, to Shaq back in the day, as this super strong physical player who would just get hammered in the paint and would not get the calls because people bounced off of him, or it was harder for referees to kind of sense which contact was impeding him and which was marginal. And I think Ant has some of that because he does power through things so effortlessly, and he is so strong physically that it's harder for referees to see when a certain arm across a hand across an arm, or a chest to chest bump or something like that really does throw him off his track. And Shea, to his credit, has kind of hacked the system. Like, he is incredibly graceful. He has body control is insane, and he is able to get into the high traffic areas of the paint and near the rim, and he is able to make it look like he is getting knocked to the ground. Or there oftentimes is he will initiate some contact, or there will be some contact there, but then the way that he reacts to that contact makes it look worse than the contact really is. We saw one play in game one where the Wolves had to challenge it because literally he just fell to the ground, and the referee couldn't see, had the wrong angle or whatever, and just assumed there was a foul, and there was none. And the Wolves won that challenge and went back, and it went back to them. But it just seems like there are certain players who understand. Jalen Brunson is another one who understands that if I flop enough, I'm going to get calls, and referees are then going to expect more of that. And it's the same. It's almost the same in the inverse of Caruso, Dort, Wallace on the perimeter of OKC's defense, where if I foul him all of the time, they're not going to call every one. I'm setting the tone differently so that they give me a looser whistle. Well, Shea is setting a tone where if he falls every time, there's going to be the assumption that most of these are fouls, and that he's, more often than not, he's going to get the benefit of the whistle. Ant does not fall like that very often. He just doesn't. And so it's a way of it's what the referees are seeing in real time, which is a very difficult job, but it's also Shea just figuring out that, hey, if I do these things, it is going to be advantageous for me, and it's working for him.
I usually hate talking about officials, but I think this is just really on point. I'll just tell you where I am with all this. I fully expect NBA stars to get the benefit of the doubt most of the time. What bothers me, because I think the officials are or should be really well trained and really smart about these things, what bothers me is when the offensive player initiates the contact and gets the foul call. That's what drives me nuts. If the aggressor should not get the benefit of the call.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, like, there's plenty of times Shea and this goes for so many. I mean, the stick the arm out, push, create some space and contact. And then if the defender absorbs that arm and then maybe even flexes back, that's the foul. And I err on the side, Jim, of, with a lot of these, including a lot of the block charges and things of that nature, where I would just much rather prefer a no call.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to call it against either player. Just let them play. Like, let them go through that. And it seems like a lot of that has happened in these playoffs, where there is a looser whistle. There is sort of an encouragement for contact. I will say the Wolves did get away with some contact on some players at the rim several times in game one. Got away with a couple of really seemed like very clear fouls to me. So they certainly are not just like, they are benefiting sometimes as well. But your point is well taken, that sometimes I don't know what a defender is supposed to do.
Exactly.
When you're sliding your feet, you're trying to stay in front of them, and then there is just a shoulder in, or there's a chicken wing out, and that is the foul. Like, those are the ones that you really feel for a Jaden McDaniels. Just like, bruh, what can I do here when you're going to call that kind of a foul? Because one thing we also have to note, Jim, is that Jaden McDaniels fouled out last night. He does not get called for as many fouls anymore. This season, he's been tremendous at not fouling. And I think he has started to gain a bit of a reputation as a very good defender. And so I do think he is given a little bit more leeway. He did not get that leeway in game one. And to his credit, we talked to him at practice on Wednesday, and he just said, we know that's the way it's going to be. I've got to figure out a way to keep my hands off of him and still make it difficult on him. And so he was taking the high road, but I understand if behind the scenes, he's just a little flabbergasted about what exactly he's supposed to do.
Yep. Let's thank Princeton's Liquors. Coming up next, let's talk about Ant. Let's talk about the turnovers. Let's talk about what the Wolves could do better offensively, like make the occasional three-pointer. But first, let's hear about Princeton's Liquors.
Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove. You're watching game one last night. You're probably a little bit rattled. You're probably a little frustrated. Maybe you just need a cocktail. Maybe you need a beer. Maybe you need a glass of wine to just kind of calm yourself down. Go to Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove. They have the best craft beer selection in the state. They have a wonderful bourbon selection. Bill Princeton and the Princeton family have been in business for decades and decades. They are a community family business that we love to support here at Talk North. And that has been so good to us over the years as well. So when you go in and you get your stuff at Princeton's Liquors, you are contributing to a local entity that has been here for a very long time. Bill Princeton wore the Crunch costume back in the day. He is one of us to the hilt. And so if you need something, if you need great selection, if you need great prices on anything alcoholic beverages, THC, seltzers, and gummies, go into Princeton's Liquors in Maple Grove.
Thanks as always, TSR Injury Law. You see their ads everywhere. You know the deal by now. We just want to remind you, if you're ever injured, first call 612-TSR-TIME. 612-TSR-TIME. Who knows? Maybe Naz Reid will answer the phone. Maybe in the offseason, he's going to temp over at TSR Injury Law. We love Steve Terry. We love his partners. They've been great to us. They have become a success because they take good care of the people who need them. 612-TSR-TIME. Thanks also to Royal Credit Union.
Boost your savings when you open a money market account at Royal Credit Union. For a limited time, you can get a $1,250 bonus when you bring $100,000 or more in new money to open a personal or business money market account. Royal's money market accounts have no monthly maintenance fee and tiered rates, so higher balances earn more. See details and open a money market account today at rcu.org/earn-more. Minimum deposit of $100,000 required to obtain bonus. Offer ends 5/24/25. Insured by NCUA.
All right, so Ant, kind of everything went wrong. He didn't get to the rim. He took his shots, I think, averaged like 25 feet. He stayed on the perimeter because they were trying to keep him on the perimeter, didn't shoot well. And when he did drive, draw three people, and kick, his teammates didn't make shots. Where are you with his game right now, and what chance do you give him of bouncing back big in game two?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that deserves mentioning in the game is he did tweak his ankle. And it's funny, like we've seen him take some incredible falls, like have some injuries that you feel like he's going to be out for 3 months, and then he pops right back, no worse for the wear. I do think in watching him in that game, after he came back in the second half, it looked like that ankle was just bothering him a little bit more than some of the other stuff has bothered him before. He said after the game it did not bother him, but I was just watching him and he didn't look quite as comfortable. What the Oklahoma City Thunder do very, very well is they do pack the paint. They put 3-4 guys down there, and they take that away from every team, including the Wolves. The Wolves have been one of the teams that shoot the highest percentage of their shots at the rim. And last night it was terrible. They only had 20 points in the paint, couldn't get there. And so in some ways, and I thought made the right plays a lot of times because of the way they were loading up on him. And, he moved the ball. It found wide open, good shooters who missed shots. And there was one point in the game in the second half where the Thunder had Hartenstein and Holmgren on the bench. And I thought that was the one opportunity where he could have maybe attacked the rim a little bit more without a natural rim protector. But other than that, I just think that the Thunder are a really good defensive team and made it hard on him. I mean, for both he and Julius Randle to only have 13 shots apiece, that's the Thunder defense funneling the ball away from the two best players and getting it to other players to make them beat them. And so I thought it was a great game plan by the Thunder. And oftentimes we have seen Ant start these series slow and need a day to figure it out. And so I do expect him to be more effective in game 2. He said he was going to be more aggressive, whether that means shooting more threes or whether that means just like taking the ball and bulling it to the basket, whatever it takes. I do expect him to be better that way. But for him to really be very good in this series, he needs help. Like Naz Reid has got to hit threes. Dante DiVincenzo, all of these guys have got to be able to knock down shots so that it makes the Thunder defense think twice about leaving them wide open in the corners. And if they don't do that, this has the potential to be a shorter series.
Yeah, the bench, which should be a strength for this team, the shooting was terrible in game 1, and Nikhil has not had a good postseason offensively. Dante hasn't had a good offensive postseason, although he was good in game 5 against the Warriors. And Naz is not shooting the ball particularly well, and that's where they're supposed to get separation, and it's not happening. Where are you with all the 3-point shots? 51 3-point attempts. Obviously, if they go in, we're talking about them winning the game, so we wouldn't be complaining. But when you shoot 51 3-pointers, you don't shoot them well, and then you're also obviously not driving and getting fouls and hurting the defensive interior. I mean, where do you think they'll just say keep shooting it, or do you think they'll revise their strategy?
Yeah, what Chris Finch said that makes sense is like the shot profile was not quite what they wanted. 51 of their 83 shots being threes is probably too many, especially when you're not hitting. Like if you're on you remember game 1 against the Lakers where they were hitting everything in sight. Okay, keep firing them up. But Finch didn't really like some of the shot selection. I think, especially from DiVincenzo, there were a couple of really early in the clock 29, 30 footers that he was pulling, trying to get himself going in that. And when you're facing the Thunder defense, they really do speed you up. They try to encourage those kinds of shots. And they're even though a lot of the shots were open, a lot of them were also out of rhythm as well. They felt like they were forced. It felt like, okay, this is all we're going to get, so I'm just going to let it fly. And so I do think that there has to be a lot more focus on the sets they're running and just kind of everything that they're doing to get to those shots, because what they want to do is find those open shooters, kind of catch and shoot in rhythm, and then you have a higher likelihood of knocking those down. But when you are scrambling, when you are like just trying to stay ahead of the rabid dogs that are chasing you, there's definitely an effect on what you do, on how you shoot. And so I do think that there's going to be more focus on making quicker decisions and making simple plays to try and create better looks. And that could make a difference, but also Naz just can't go 0 for 7 from 3. Dante can't go 3 for 12. Nikhil can't go 2 for 9. If they're going to shoot poorly, the Wolves are in real trouble. They are really good shooters. The Wolves, I think, were 4th in 3-point percentage in the regular season over the entire year. And so we have seen them bounce back from really poor shooting nights, like they had against the Warriors in game 1, the Lakers in game 2, those types of things. So as of right now, I'm going to chalk this up more to just an off night when they were a little rusty and coming back. But there has to be a sense of urgency going into game 2 of, hey, make those shots when they come available, because the Thunder defense is designed to give you those shots. And the way you beat them is to make them. And so they're going to see a lot more of those opportunities going forward here.
Coming up, we'll talk about Julius Randle. We'll talk about turnovers. One more note right now. When Anthony Edwards threw the ball at Shea, and It almost reminded me of what he did to LeBron early in the series, early in the playoffs. He kind of got in LeBron's face and shoved him almost to make some kind of a point. He did that with Shea yesterday in one exchange, and he also threw a ball at him. Is that just him trying to get inside the head of the opposing star?
I don't know if it's trying to get in the head of the star, but what it is like earmuffs, kids, but it's basically like, I'm not putting up with your bullshit. Like that's what the message is. And, Shea may have looked at that and said, yeah, I got you. Like, yeah, you put me on the line and I won that battle with you. But I do think overall, the message that Ant is trying to send with those types of plays is, we're not going to be punked here by you. And yes, I see what you are doing and I don't like it. And, it may not have worked out for them in game one, but it is the kind of response that his teammates will enjoy, that will appreciate, I would say. And so that was all about, I think, Ant saying, I know the tricks that you're pulling. I know what you're doing. You're getting it today, but I'm not going to back down from you. So he's got to be smart about the way that he goes about it and picking his spots to do that kind of thing. There was a point like I think it was the third quarter where he almost tackled Shea and just stood right over him. And I do think that's him trying to inject some physicality and some attitude into this and making sure that his teammates do not sort of get overwhelmed by OKC, which OKC overwhelms many, many opponents. And so it's somewhat calculated. It's also somewhat emotional for Ant because he is frustrated in those moments. But overall, I think the biggest part of it is that hey, these refs might not see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, and I don't appreciate it.
Jon, tell us why you're not wearing glasses on this broadcast.
I'm not wearing glasses because I went to True Vision Institute in Bloomington, truevision.com, and got LASIK last July. We're coming up on a year. It's been one of the best things I've ever done for myself. And it's been one of the best places I've ever had anything done for me. You go to True Vision, the people there are so warm and inviting. Dr. Chu is incredible to work with. He helps you through things the whole way through. And once you have LASIK surgery at True Vision, it does really open up a whole new world. I know it sounds corny. I know you're listening to me right now and saying, come on, Jon, it cannot be that great. And I'm telling you, I said the same thing to people who had LASIK before me. And now I'm just kind of shaking my head and wondering why I did not do this 10 years ago. Life is so much easier. People compliment me. I'm looking younger. I feel good about myself. Most importantly, I see great. Like it's just so much easier not having to deal with contacts, not having to deal with eyeglasses. Go to True Vision, truevision.com, set up your consultation. They will take you through all of the steps, see if LASIK is right for you, see if another vision correction procedure is right for you, and they will get you taken care of. But do it now because you don't want to be where I am and thinking 10 years down the road, man, I should have done this a long time ago. But you absolutely will be as soon as you go to True Vision and get on the road to your vision correction.
Now tell me where Timberwolves fans should watch the next game.
Head Flyer, Northeast Minneapolis, go to Head Flyer Brewing. They have packed crowds for these Timberwolves games. They do stay open late if the games are on later. That said, these 7:30 starts are really nice throughout this series. So that's a little bit better. But you go to Head Flyer Brewing. They have drink specials. They have great beer. Wicked Jump Shot is my favorite, along with Crunch Time, the collaboration that I have with Head Flyer. But any kind of flavor style of beer under the sun that you could want. They have THC seltzers. They have all sorts of different stuff that you could want. There's a pizza truck right outside. You can bring your own food. But the thing I like best about Head Flyer Brewing is it's such an open, airy tap room. You don't feel claustrophobic in there. They have great, big projection TV on one wall. They have a bunch of TVs right above the bar. You're always going to be able to see the game, and you get to be with like-minded Wolves fans who are biting their fingernails, who are pulling their hair out, who are going crazy for when things are going well. It's just a great environment to be in. So go to Head Flyer Brewing in Northeast Minneapolis. Tell them the Jon Krawczynski Show sent you. Cheer on the Wolves and have a good time doing it.
Now, finally, last but not least, and one of the reasons we run them last of these is we usually get a Twitter question from them as well. Shepherd Goods and Lamb Chops clothing line.
SGLambchops.com is the place to go. Use the promo code JONK20 for 20% off anything that you get at Lamb Chops. You have hoodies, you have sweatshirts, you have sweaters, you have t-shirts, shorts, pants, all sorts of very stylish, super high quality casual wear. You can wear it out in the North Loop on a Friday night. You can wear it lounging around your home, watching the Wolves, on TV. Jordan and Craig are at these games. Jordan came to Oklahoma City to see everything in Game 1. They are big time supporters of this community, and they're big time supporters of us. And so we like to return the favor by going to sglambchops.com, promo code JONK20 for 20% off anything that you have at Lamb Chops clothing. You'll feel good wearing it. It will last you forever, and you'll look good the whole time. So go to Lamb Chops at sglambchops.com.
We knew turnovers would be a big factor. Too many turnovers in Game 1. Is that fixable for this team?
So I would like to say that it is, but the problem that the Wolves face is that this has been their character for much of the season. We have seen them overcome some of their other shortcomings, especially the crunch time execution in the playoffs. They have been a different team that way, and that's been really encouraging. But so far, they have not been able to get a grasp on their turnover issues. I guess if you want to be an optimist and you want to believe that things can get better, I do think that they needed to get in the ring with these guys one time and feel it and sense it and understand just how different the Thunder defense is. Even though the Warriors defense is great, I think that it's a different style of defense the Thunder play. It's a different activity level. They really change up looks throughout the game and can confuse them. And so I do think that it is possible that, having felt it and experienced it, they can be a little sharper in Game 2, and going forward in this series. But it has also been a character flaw of theirs for most of this season, is carelessness with the ball, is like losing concentration and giving it up. And so one thing that they can do is try to limit the live ball turnovers. The 13 steals that the Thunder had, those ones are just killers because they scored 31 points off 19 turnovers. And that's just like, man, if they can be more, if the turnovers they have are more of the dead ball variety where it allows the Wolves to get back and set their defense and kind of re-engage, those can be a little bit less damaging. But the only way that I guess I just don't see them having a game where they turn the ball over 8 times or 9 times. So the way to combat that is, if you're going to turn the ball over, you better hit shots on the other end to balance that out. And they didn't do either of those things in Game 1, and that's kind of why they got blown out in the second half.
Julius Randle, remarkable first half, continuing a great playoffs for him, and he barely touched the ball in the second half. Was that all OKC defense? Is that the Wolves forgetting that the ball with one of their best players?
Yeah, Finch said after the game that he has to do a better job of making sure that Randle is involved in it. But I honestly do think, Jim, that a lot of it was Oklahoma City defense related. I mean, Randle was unbelievable in the first half, 5 of 6 from 3, 6 of 8 from the field, and he only got 5 shots in the second half. He didn't get his first shot of the second half until like 5 minutes were left in the third quarter. And that's not a good thing at all. What the Thunder defense is designed to do is to funnel the ball away from the guys who can hurt them the most and to the guys who they don't believe can hurt them. And it worked really, really well in the game. You look at it, you look at the shot, like DiVincenzo had the most shots in the game, 14. Edwards and Randle only 13 apiece. And then Reed and Alexander Walker both had 11. That is not conducive to winning basketball for the Timberwolves. I think at least either Edwards or Randall has to have 20 shots or more as kind of the focal point of the offense, and then let everyone else sort of feed off of that orbit. And so what they're going to have to do in game 2 is just have a better plan for getting Edwards and Randall more opportunities, and then the role players have to just be more role players and not featured parts of the offense if the Wolves are going to kind of get back into this.
Rudy was not good offensively. He didn't have many rebounds. He also got pulled away from the rim. It looked like the Dallas series last year. They were just, get in the lane, get Rudy to step away from the rim, and then have the guy from the dunker spot just go in for an alley-oop. How much of Rudy's struggles were Rudy? How much of his struggles were just what Oklahoma City was able to do to him?
Yeah, it started off just the worst it could possibly start off. Rudy had 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes. And the first one was definitely a foul. Second one, we'll see. But I didn't think it was an egregious missed call or anything like that. So he goes to the bench, and then he's just completely out of the game, really. And he played 21 minutes. You saw in the second half, as the game was starting to slip away from the Wolves and as those shots were clanking, Finch made a conscious decision to go to a Reed Randall front court and have Rudy off the floor. Rudy was not good offensively. And so, and he was not punishing the Thunder with offensive rebounds. And so there wasn't as much of a spot for him in this game. The problem though, Jim, when you pull Rudy off the floor is defensively, the Wolves really just kind of fell apart. I mean, 70 points in a half is just unconscionable. That's you're not going to beat anyone ever when you give up that kind of scoring binge. And I know some of them were in garbage time in the fourth quarter when clearly everything had kind of slipped away. But it was a terrible defensive performance in the second half, and part of that was because Rudy was not on the floor. And so the Wolves have to do a better job in game 2 of finding ways to keep him involved offensively, use his size at the rim for putbacks and for lobs and things of that nature. And then that allows him to stay on the floor defensively, because he was, he is a presence there against Shea. He had some really good contests of Shea and Jalen Williams in the first half when I think Shea was 2 for 13 and J-Dub was 2 for 8 or something like that. So they just need to have Rudy play better, be more engaged, be more involved, so that it's not as easy to take him off of the floor. And it would really help if he is not picking up early foul trouble that kind of already puts them into that kind of a situation.
I was going to ask about Finch, but I think we'll wait and see how he responds in the next few games. We'll talk about Finch next week. Do we have a Twitter question today?
We do not have a Twitter question today.
Okay.
We will get to that next week. But again, thanks to Lamb Chops, sglambchops.com, promo code JONK20 for 20% off everything you get there. It's been a very hectic day here in the middle of these playoffs. And so we'll make sure we get on a Twitter question and really engage you guys on the next show next week. But yeah, overall, just when you look at where this team is, and I'm sure, one of the things that would be a hot or button Twitter question is, what do they do to combat that whistle from Shea? And I do think what I'm interested to see, Jim, is will they play more zone in game 2? Because it worked very well for Denver. But the Timberwolves are not a team that plays a lot of zone. They did use it against OKC in the regular season, but that was when Rudy Gobert was out with an injury. And so I asked Chris Finch about it before game 1, just said, hey, where do you see zone fitting in this? And he admitted that they have not been a very good zone defense team this year, just in executing it. So, yeah, I'm not sure if he's confident enough in this team's ability to do it, to put it out there, but that would seem like one card he could try to play just to change things up and make it a little more difficult for Shea to draw the fouls that he does and also to get the clean looks that he got in the second half.
Good stuff, John. Thanks for joining us from Oklahoma City. Thanks to everyone who listens to TalkNorth.com. We do appreciate it. If you get a chance to support our sponsors, we would love that. They are very supportive of us. That's why we get to put out podcasts for free to everybody, because of the wherewithal and the generosity of our sponsors. They're also all good people. We know them all. So please, if you can support them, please do. Check out all the other shows at TalkNorth.com, and we'll talk to you again next week.